So here we are about halfway into our passage from Dakar, Senegal to Cabo Verde. We're sailing due west, riding a low-pressure system with winds coming from the south. Somewhat unusual because the trade winds usually come from the northeast and are constant. The low pressure hasn't developed yet into a storm, so the winds are gentle. I usually rely on music to add some acoustic flavor to the imagery you see. But out here, the only music I felt would work well was that of Galopin coasting on the surface with the purr of its engine. Plus Wendy was sleeping off her ear inflammation. So although the idea of pumping out a musical groove to accompany us on our journey would be cool, it really wasn't an option. So for this episode, let's enjoy the natural sounds of sailing. It's the rainy season here. Low pressure systems begin to form as they pass over the warm waters off the West African coast. They can grow as they pass over Cabo Verde and then gain strength as they continue their course west across the Atlantic. And then can grow into full-blown hurricanes. But for us here, we're riding the gentle northerly winds with the help of Simone de Perkins' 4108 diesel motor to keep us on course and with the flow. In the evening, the wind picked up and we could sail through the night. Galopin's freshly painted hull was slicing through the water with little resistance. Doing 5-knot speed with only 8 knots wind and a reef in a mainsail was pretty damn good performance for the old boy. Yes, my boat is a boy, like I've mentioned before many times. He is not a she. He identifies as a he. Calling boats feminine is an English thing. Galopin is French and masculine. We were pleasantly riding the system. The state of the ocean was smooth. It's as if it was kindly caressing Wendy as she was slowly sleeping off her illness. As for me, I entertained myself with a book a friend gave me. It's called A Russian Journal by John Steinbeck, with photographs by Robert Capa. Great read by the legendary author, man. It's about the duo's visit to Stalinist Russia just after World War II. Steinbeck wrote in a journalistic style, reporting on what he and Capa experienced firsthand. Factual and not opinionated to feed the post-war propaganda by both sides. I found it fascinating and sometimes quite humorous, as the two men were often overfed and drunken by the supposed starving Soviet Union. Unfortunately, it was a short read. Another day passed and another night to get through. Today's distraction were 2 ships sailing parallel north. They were sailing close by, kind of strange. We saw a few ships thus far, and it seems like this isn't really a shipping route, or perhaps it is. Seeing the ships on the AIS on my chart plotter in the vastness of where we were, they seemed right on top of us. But if we enlarge the scale, you can see there's plenty of room between us all. Try to capture shots of flying fish in slow motion. Well, that's the best I did. I did much better capturing the sky. We were getting a whippet of usual trade winds coming down from the northeast. This was blissful.
All right, we are in Cape Verdean waters. We're just a few miles from Sal, first island from the west coast of Africa, and wind conditions are absolutely phenomenal. It's exceptional. spectacular, incredible. Beam, 14 knots.
Even Wendy came out of her cabin for a moment. Still not quite herself, though. Her ear ache had gotten better, but the ache to get back home was now hitting a nerve. Only about 24 hours to go, man, and with continuing good conditions. That didn't console her the way I thought it would. No worries, she could go back into her comfy cabin and brood. Galopin was cruising along super well. Wind picked up, and I was happy I kept a reef in the mainsail. You never know for sure around these islands. You can get a gusty surprise.
Well, I was able to link into the internet here from the island of Sal, and it looks like weather is pretty promising. Looks like we're going to have a beam wind for the rest of our journey here for another 24 hours. I don't know how strong it will be, and just as we get in tomorrow morning, it should switch a little bit. So anyways, I think we've got good conditions coming up for the next 24 hours.
Forecast for the next 24 hours looks good. One more night to think and ponder about life.
Well, I've just had an epiphany. Well, not so much a epiphany as a get your head out of your ass kind of moment. I think on my way back here I thought about, all this traveling around back and forth with a partner of the feminine species. It's extremely sexy and it's fun to be around, but at some times it's just a responsibility that I want to be back alone. And that epiphany also signifies that I have a goal to pursue, and that is to go around Africa the wrong way around by sailboat. Me and Gerard, the South African sailor who's actually doing it right now, talked about that. But I'd like to do a whole circumference of the continent from Cabo Verde all the way around, from Cabo Verde south to South Africa, up the east coast, up the Red Sea, into the Suez Canal, into the Mediterranean, back to Cabo Verde. Winded voyage is going to be Africa sailing the wrong way around.
We're coming into the canal motor sailing. You can see the effects of the low pressure system. Gray skies and drizzling. We're almost home. Wendy would be back in her own little place, and I would have my Galopin all to myself again. But rest assured, Wendy will be back, as will the music.
Quando a polícia chegar, ninguém vai se meter. Quando a polícia chegar, ninguém vai se meter. Oi, 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 oi. Oi, 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 oi.
Hello, welcome to Galopin. These are our studios, man. This is where the magic happens. It's humble, but it gets the job done. It's because of the great people like you on Patreon who make this happen. This Living Adventure series. I hope you'll join our community. We've got some extra perks like live updates, news, photos, videos, and I've even taken a stab at writing some short stories which are not for general audiences on YouTube. And our friend Graham from Australia set up a WhatsApp chat to aptly called Galopin's Cockpit. Guys from all over have joined, and it's this community that's contributing to the continuation of this Living Adventure series. If not, you can always watch us for free on YouTube. Make sure to give us a like or a dislike, make a comment, make your opinion heard. I'll try to get back to you. Thanks for watching this episode of Voyage, a real Living Adventure series. It's not fake, baby.